It's news time. Information is power. Be current. The news headline: Buhari government behind agitations in the south. Are you? The news in full. The national chairman of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), Iyorkia Ayu, has accused President Muhammadu Buhari-led government of fueling secessionist agitations in the southeast and southwest. The former Senate president stated that the All Progressive Congress government was responsible for agitations in the southern part of the country through its nepotistic and lopsided appointment. Ayu made this disclosure during the inauguration of the newly elected National Working Committee (NWC) at the party headquarters in Abuja on Friday. He accused the President Muhammadu Buhari-led government of dividing the country along religious and ethnic lines, adding that the ruling APC has failed to manage the country's diversity, where Ayu claimed that Nigeria is drifting dangerously towards a failed state due to the activities of bandits, terrorists, and Boko Haram insurgents in the north. Speaking further, the PDP chairman slammed President Muhammadu Buhari for allowing the country to collapse and terrorists to share sovereignty with Nigeria. He said the APC-led government has mismanaged Nigeria's diversity and has divided the country along regional and religious lines, which has exacerbated religious tensions in the country. Through its marriage to nepotism, the incompetent APC federal government is fueling secessionist agitations in the east and west of Nigeria. Our dear Nigeria is drifting dangerously towards a failed state. Terrorists are now sharing sovereignty with Nigeria. Nigeria is simply ungoverned. Nigeria is collapsing under the leadership of a retired general. Ayu claimed that the opposition party has remained credible, tested, and have a track record of performance and legacy achievement in its 16 years of being in power. He said that the PDP is the only organic political party in Nigeria that has remained a credible, tested, and trusted mass movement since the return of democracy in 1999. Other political parties have either fizzled away or merged with others. Some have mutated into a contraption like the ruling APC without any clear ideology or coherent program of action. It was also said that the contraption seduced Nigerians with propaganda in 2015, and today Nigerians have seen the limits of propaganda and demagoguery. The only thing that the APC is doing successfully is irresponsible borrowing, and the PDP, on the other hand, has a history of performance and legacy achievement. In our 16 years in power, we only gave Nigerians good governance. We also strengthened democratic institutions so as to add value to the people. In an unprecedented move, we stabilized our democracy by sanitizing the armed forces of politically exposed officers. We gave Nigeria a first ever successful transition from one civilian administration to another in 2007, noting that to the disbelief of all watchers of African politics, we willingly conceded defeat in 2015 and handed over power to an opposition party in 2015. There is no manual for the formation of nations. Wars, accidents, imperialism, necessity, agreement, arbitrations, and consensus have all given birth to countries. Our nation was born from imperialism and became a British colony after the Berlin Conference of 1884 to 1885. But we shook off the shackles of colonialism and emerged as an independent nation. The whole world still understanding that Nigeria would be a great nation and would wipe away the tears of all black people of the world by building a great democracy and a republic where justice and honor, peace and progress will be showcased. The reasons for the failure to attain greatness are that we have poor leaders and poor followers who have not been able to make nation building their number one priority. Our leaders have continued to wallow in ethnic racism and corruption. Ironically, it was based on Pan-African unity and nationalism, and our founding fathers got independence. But soon after independence, we have systematically destroyed every fabric of nation building through corruption and ethnic racism. The last 6 years have been the very worst in throwing up Nigeria's fault lines. The parties have failed to give leadership, and they lack ideological commitment, purpose, or clarity. The weak institutions of states have been unable to defend democracy, and the Nigerian people have yet not resolved on national greatness. When we decide, nobody can stop us, the professor says. The professor also noted that the Nigerian elite must come together and overcome their apathy and decide to make Nigeria great through comprehensive restructuring of the federation, saying that we need more efficient and leaner federal civil and public service, and that we need the state to be stronger and the federal government to divest itself of its overwhelming control at the center, saying that we must resolve to tackle tribalism with greater intensity that we have fought corruption, saying that the last thing we need to do in addressing our nation's calamity is to recruit into politics and public sphere people with sound character who see wrong as wrong and who are courageous to stand up to forces that seek to destroy Nigeria. Asking about insecurity, saying that we started with Boko Haram and now ISWAP, saying that the United Arab Emirates recently named some Nigerians sponsoring the insurgent group, saying that Nigerians were excited, thinking that those who have contributed to the plunging this country into the crisis that has got millions of dollars and the carnage that followed will be prosecuted. However, the presidency said charging them is not a priority, and the professor was asked about his view on this particular statement, responding that the view is that the government has been living in denial and that Nigeria is first starting from a civil war that religious extremists and ethnic bigotry are foisted over us. The government has invented semantics of deception, which is helping terrorists by packaging them as bandits and even worse, non-state actors. I was walking on eggshells to call the foreign Fulani terrorists arsonists, rapists and land grabbers through genocide as non-state actors. Kidnapping has been packaged as a foreign flourishing business as well. Perhaps this government is slowly manufacturing our consent and clandestining origin of our surrender to a Taliban-type insurrection, and the facts are too glaring to say otherwise, saying that the government knows the sponsor of these asymmetric wars and they know how to block their funding and know far more than they wish the public to know. We lift our eyes to God in the knowledge that every terrorist era has an expiry date, and may God Almighty hasten such expiry. And this was the response of the professor, talking about how the government has claimed, to be weak to address the situation of the terrorism in the nation. The movement for the actualization of the sovereign state of Biafra, MASOB, has celebrated the release of 19 of their members who have been detained since 2006. The celebration coincided with 10 years anniversary of the death of Igbo leader Dim Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, Eze Igbo Gburugburu. In a statement, MASOB leader Uchenna Madu described Dim Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu as the greatest Igbo man that has ever lived. The statement reads in part: Dim Chukwuemeka still remains the greatest Nigerian man that ever lived. He laid an unforgettable foundation for enhancement and restoration of true Africanism and total liberation of black man from Western domination. Ojukwu was the president of Biafra and the general of the People's Army. He stood for justice, total freedom, and equity for us all. We are celebrating a living legend, a symbol of Igboism, the lion that is fear conquers the enemy of his people. Today, we have gathered to reflect, refresh, and revive the consciousness of Ojukwuism in Igbo land.